So I want to circle back to something that you mentioned earlier, and that was your I guess dealing with some level of suicidality before. And I've had a couple other people on the show really talk about that. So I'd love to hear your experience if you're open to sharing of what that was like for you. Like, were you planning, or were you thinking, what were you actually like dealing with in those moments?
Sure. Well, for one, I was ignoring a lot of like the signs where like hopelessness or like the void of just having like concrete emotions. I wasn't ever very happy. I wasn't ever very sad, except what's the right word? I was just there. And the idea is like, okay, it wouldn't be so bad if I jumped off a bridge, or it wouldn't be so bad if I took all of these pills. Like, it wasn't malicious in any way, but it just, they would crop up and I would think about it. And then I would think, you know what? I'd just go to sleep and I wouldn't wake up. Like, it would be a resolution, you know? So when I actually tried to do it, I remember it vividly because I was I was eating In and Out. I'm like, this is going to be my last meal. It's In and Out. That's not a bad thing. Like, there's worse last meals. In and Out's not too terrible. But I I cut my wrist pretty deeply, and obviously I'm fine, but had to be at the doctors, and then family got involved because I was already living in California. And unfortunately, it got to be a big to do, which, like, that's the last thing you want when you plan to off yourself, you know? A big thing that I did think about, I'm like, if I'm going to do this, I don't want anyone to find me because I know what it will do to them, but I also don't I don't want them to leave them wondering, you know? So it became a bigger deal where, all right, fuck, fine. I have to deal with all these issues now and going on medication and therapy. And it does work, but it almost was like worse at first, you know? Trying to find like pills that work because they put me on like 40 milligrams of Prozac, and I was not a human. Like, I was functioning, but there was nothing. And then therapy trying to drag out everything I was feeling at the time and trying to explain it without sounding pathetic and working through it. And it was a lot, honestly, it was a lot harder than trying to cut my own wrists. But it just,
Do you think go ahead?
oh no, I'm going to circle. So,
Oh, that's okay.
yeah.
Just gonna ask, like, is was that I would say that the it being easier to cut your own wrists, was that, I would say, part of the seduction of killing yourself versus like dealing with whatever it was that was kind of creating those feelings?
Like, there was no like glorification. Honestly, it was just the closest thing at the time. Like, I was while I was eating, I was thinking, today's the day, man. And just didn't have any medicine in the house. Don't believe in having firearms, but I did have some kitchen knives, and like, I didn't feel any pain. That's the crazy thing. Maybe it was like adrenaline, but I just went down the street, if that can be allowed. But I didn't feel I didn't feel anything. It was just, it was going to happen. There was no sexiness or like relief. It was like, okay, it's done. Like, just checked off the list, you know?
So when you did it, though, it sounds like you ended up going to the hospital and that kind of thing. So obviously, did you like, oh shit, like I don't actually want to do this, and like backed out, or like what happened in that moment? Like, how did you go from planning to kill yourself and taking the action, then not doing it yourself here?
I don't want to mention names because I don't speak with those people anymore, but I was stopped. And yeah, I was seen, and They contacted family who came came down because they lived like 8-9 hours away, and that's where it became a big to do. So if no one was there, probably would have been successful. And I'm glad. I'm very glad I wasn't. I needed help, and even though I don't talk to that person who stopped me, I'm very thankful for them for being there. Not, I am forever grateful. But yeah, so I thought it would be a lot easier to explain because, if you don't mind me saying, like we talked about this on a break and how I didn't really have a chance to explain it, but I don't mention it in my comics for the reason that I can't risk my livelihood for explaining that situation. But I wish I have because I know a lot of people, especially nowadays, struggle with it. And it shouldn't be ignored. But unfortunately, how platforms are built, they will punish people for quote unquote idealizing self harm when it's not idealizing, it's just explaining, what we were going through. But medication therapy, ongoing medication and therapy help a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing all of that. Do you mind? I would love to hear about like when was there something that was like for you that you were like dealing with? Was there like a traumatic event that was kind of spawning that moment, or was there a just kind of like a brain chemistry, like depressive brain kind of thing coming over you? Like, what was it? I guess that led you to even starting to want that. Like, yeah,
I think both. I didn't like myself very much at the time. I didn't like my body. I didn't like who I was or where I was going in my life because I always thought at the time, I thought I was going to have an artistic career, and I cornered myself into the business side. So I didn't like that. But also, I definitely have a chemical or two missing to make me a happy person. So I was just deficient, like someone is deficient in vitamin B. I was deficient in my body working in a way to be content, but not getting help early on. So I was newly in Southern California, didn't have a lot of friends, definitely didn't have family, and I was isolated, not many people to talk to. It definitely like compounded how I felt. And then I lost my sister when I was 11 and never fully came back from that because my family kind of broke apart after. Understandably, we're all good now.
mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah,
But like you don't talk about those traumas because for fuck's sake, seeing my mom hold a dead baby, it's not good. You deal as you can, but I never got the help that I should have, and nothing on my parents. They did an amazing job, but as an adult, I ignored it, and it just compounded.
no.
Yeah.
When you were having those experiences, and I'll preface this with kind of why. Like, so I've with the two other people I talked to, both of them to a certain degree talk about. I don't want to say like voices because that's not necessarily how it is, but like one of them that I talked to like literally said he would hear like a voice like literally telling him to kill himself, and it was like literally like, had this kind of like seductive tone to it.
Hmm.
I think my other friend who talked about it talked about really this kind of loud, voice in his head or just series of thoughts that is basically telling him to kill himself. That now he's like, this is just a depressive episode. He knows how to deal with it. It really, really sucks, but he can kind of like weather the storm. Is do either of those experiences, or was there a similar type of thing that was going on internally, I guess, for you with when that was happening?
Yes, and I apologize if this like comes off crass, but it is. It reminds me of like Gollum from Lord of the Rings, where it wasn't necessarily a different voice, but it was my voice. It was my voice talking to myself. Like, if you just did it, like you're not gonna be in this like limbo anymore, this purgatory where you don't feel anything, because that's the worst part, is like not feeling anything except just like despair. And despair is not even the right word. It's just like you realize like you're lacking your humanity, because nothing would touch me and I couldn't cry. So I would talk to myself and be like, well, if you jumped off a bridge tomorrow, like it's just over with. We're done. And there is no heaven or hell. So why don't you do it? And then it's like, but you got your mom and you got your siblings and you got your best friend and you have life. You can go about it, but it's so much work and it's so heavy. I don't want to carry this. So, yes and no. I guess like I would have these internal debates.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that. Yeah. My friend Brett, who talked about it, he said that he, from his experience, there was literally like there was like kind of a devil on one shoulder, angel on the other shoulder, who would be having this debate back and forth. And at one point, he had kind of decided to do it, and then I guess the angel on his right, goes, yeah, you can, do it, but like just, maybe just like wait a day. And then it was like him waiting the day ended up leading to a series of other events in his life that like led him completely away from that, and finding purpose and that kind of thing. It's just, I know it's very enlightening, I think is the right word, to hear you and my other friends talk about this. So I really, really appreciate you sharing and talking about it.
I'm glad I can share it in some way. Like I said, I hate that I can't share it on other platforms. Like because death is a big part of my comic, I I feel like I always keep people on red because I can't tell them like this is why death's a part of it, because I had a flirtation with death. Like I was fucking knocking on his door at 2 fucking a.m. in my panties. Like
Yeah.
it it's an important part of my life. And I think I have a scar on my wrist that I look at every so often. I'm like, you dumb bitch. But it's shaped who I am. So I'm glad to talk about it. And I hope anyone that is feeling like that or have those ideas, honestly, you're not alone. And I know that they don't want to talk about it or share because you feel like you're drawing attention. That's the last thing you want to do, is draw attention to yourself. But it's okay. It's okay to talk to someone. Going to be you're not going to be perceived negatively by people who love you because they want to help you. Like they want you to be here. That's the reason why they're going to talk back. Like you're not a burden, I guess is the right word. This is the first time I've actually shared this on like any kind of platform. So I appreciate you asking and listening. And I'm sorry, it's like I keep apologizing. I should fucking stop
You
that.
do.
I apologize a lot, man.
I'm so sorry for apologizing so much.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm not 1 inch Canadian either. I don't even like maple syrup. Fuck maple
Oh my
syrup.
god. You don't
I'm
like maple
sorry.
syrup, like, for real?
No, I hate pancakes.
Oh my god. I mean, I
Why
don't eat
would
them
you?
anymore, but they are
What?
delicious.
No, why would you eat a pancake when you have waffles? There's
Okay,
texture.
I do like waffles better. I am
Okay.
a huge like chicken and waffles fan. It's like
Ooh,
my
yeah.
absolute jam. There's a great place out here in Seattle, so if you ever come visit, I will take you there. It's called Fats Chicken and Waffles, and it's like the best chicken and waffles I've ever had.
Oh, that sounds lovely.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah. Anything else that you want to share on that topic?
Don't do it. Don't do it. Get help. You are loved, even if you don't feel like it. And that burden to carry is worth carrying, because it was a few years later that I started the comic and I found the love of my life, and I am I'm going to cry that
Great.
I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life. And I never thought I deserved to be so happy or so loved. So, it's worth it. Just do it. Don't hurt yourself. So, that's it.
Awesome.
But those waffles sound great.